Good evening, everybody. If we can have everybody take a seat. We're going to start our meeting. Before we start our meeting in a few minutes, we're going to have a swearing-in ceremony for our council member, Jim Albritton, who was not able to be in attendance at the last meeting when we swore everyone else in. So we're going to do that. And tonight, we're joined by his lovely wife, Rose Albritton, who's going to come up and swear Jim in. So, Rose, if you would come up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, where would you like us to stand? Is this good enough?
You want the podium or not?
No,
You don't want the podium?
No.
The podium's gone.
I'm good.
Consider it gone.
Whatever you want. Okay, together?
All right.
Okay,
All right, you ready?
yes.
All right.
I do solemnly swear,
Raise my right hand.
okay, I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support,
I will support,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution and the government of the United
the
States
Constitution and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
and the charter of the town of Southwest Ranches,
and the charter of the town of Southwest Ranches,
and will protect the rural residential,
and will protect the rural, residential,
agricultural,
agricultural,
and equestrian character
and equestrian character
of the town,
of the town,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state
under the Constitution of the state
and the charter of the town of Southwest Ranches,
and the charter of the town of Southwest Ranches,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of councilman
the duties of councilman
upon which I am now about to enter.
upon which I am about now to enter.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Okay.
Officially, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, and thank you for the town of Southwest Ranches. In 2020, I was told not to put up green signs, that they wouldn't get attention, but I think in 2020 and 2024, everybody knew who the green sign belonged to, and I think that they knew that that green sign meant that the love for the town, for the person that represented that sign, was nothing but genuine, and I appreciate everybody's help. There's so many people to mention, so many people to say thank you for, but for all the residents of the town of Southwest Ranches, I promise the next 4 years I will do everything I can to keep this town the best damn town there is. Thank you. And now, Mr. Mayor, we can start the meeting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Call this meeting to order. If we can please call the roll.
Certainly. Mayor Bright Cruz.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hartman. Here. Councilmember Albritton.
Present.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Here.
Councilmember Kaczynski.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us this evening. If you please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you. So we are about to embark on the 25th year of the town of Southwest Ranches. Hard to believe, but that is true. And we have a presentation this evening. We've got a big celebration coming up in June, and Susan has done an unbelievable job of trying to coordinate us all and get all the ideas and get things going. And Susan, if you can kind of give us an update on where we are and what's headed our way, and just thank you for all you're doing to make this happen. If you can speak into the mic, please. You can adjust it. Perfect. Is that mic on? I don't think it is. Great.
Okay. Good evening.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, it's been a lot of fun since Russell has opened this up to me and I'm enjoying every moment of it, meeting a lot of different people along the line. But I would love to share with you some of the exciting updates for this 25th anniversary. The parade we will start with, it will be on Mathers and Avocado, and we're going to have the lineup starting at 8:30. The actual, I guess we're hoping for 10 o'clock, that everybody's going to be there on time, and then everybody's going to start taking off and then coming back into the park. And at the park, we're going to have the celebration starting at 11 o'clock, and we have different paper. We're going to have the barbecue by Shorty's, and these are all definite things. We're going to have the music, the band by Shane Duncan, along with the DJ Diego. We're going to have the face painting, petting zoo, going through memory lane. We're going to be rotating some pictures of the past inside the barn, and for everybody to enjoy that's been through the many years of living here. We're going to have a merry-go-round and wet slides and giant inflatables, and all these inflatables will be for all the different age groups. We're going to have the mechanical bull. We are not going to have the dunking tank.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. And you're also going to have a 20 by 40 tent for people, that want to also sit outside and be around the inflatables. And we're going to have the misting fans. All these things, again, they're all definite already. I've been
Awesome.
working on sponsorships, and so far we have $10,000.
Fantastic.
So we've been working on that and
Yeah.
having just the beginning of it.
Yeah, it's exciting, Susan. I just appreciate all the work that I know you're coordinating, and you got a lot of help as well.
Yes.
But this is a biggie. This is 25 years, and I know it's going to be an awesome time, so thank you.
The most important thing is also the residents, to be safe,
Yeah.
keeping them cool and making sure that we give them plenty of water, available spots and areas that there's going to be, people driving around on golf carts that we're going to try to get volunteers to do.
Good.
And to be giving people water.
Perfect, perfect. It may not feel hot this evening on a cool evening in the ranches, but we know in June it will be very hot,
Yes.
so thank you.
Susan,
you.
Susan, if I may, who did you say was catering?
Shorties.
Thank you.
Oh,
You're welcome.
Thought I heard it. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Susan. All right, public comment.
Mayor, we have one speaker tonight, Rick Cormier.
Thank you. Rick?
Talking to the wrong guy.
Rick Cormier, Lemon Lime Landscaping, 5800 210 Terrace. I brought my kids to the doctor's appointment in Weston, and there's a magazine called the Weston, just like we have a magazine here in Southwest Ranches. It's called Our City Weston, and then I open it up, and it's got an article by Steve. I don't know, Steve, if you read this. Is this confirmed that that this was you? And I'll read it. One of our most critical issues currently facing Southwest Ranches is the potential for an incinerator being placed just outside our borders. I just started coming to these meetings. I come from a background in corporate America. I was a vice president of a major corporation by the time I was 29, okay? I wasn't aware of the things that go on in the real world, to see. I just don't understand, Steve. I just don't understand how you can sit here and come into magistrate meetings, appointments and code hearings and see injustice happening. Say what you say in terms of your campaign to your constituents, and don't stand up for what's right. 2001, this town annexed from Broward County. Keith Poliokoff's father signed an agreement. And you guys aren't staying true to the agreement. My family has owned that property since 1985, doing the same thing since 1985. And we have a cease and desist. Please explain, Gary. Please explain how your buddy, Ron Martinez, gets to cause havoc, terroristic havoc across the whole street. I'll read you the statistics of our street so the town can understand. We got 24 properties on our street. We're butted against Weekly's asphalt plant, Bergeron's industrial property that you guys just 5-0 voted. Perfect, perfect. Which was a beautiful wetlands, by the way, before he smashed it all down. 24 properties, only 6 homes on the street. 2 out of the 6 homes do not run commercial businesses. 18 out of the 24 properties run commercial businesses with trucks every single day. You do not maintain our roads. Probably don't drive down the roads, because if you did, you would change your mind if you stopped talking to Ron Martinez. 7 out of 18 properties that are running commercial businesses have done so for over 40 years.
Nonsense. Yep.
1 troublemaker on the street. The other house that lives on the street that doesn't run a commercial business, he calls the police on and talks to you guys about because they ride dirt bikes. His kids ride dirt bikes down the street. Come on, guys. You've been elected as leaders. And if there's nothing you can do about this, man, then resign. Do something that's right here. Come on.
Who's next?
Sorry, Mayor. The next speaker is John, the next and final speaker is John Garotti.
Good evening, John Garotti, 162nd Avenue. It's good to see everyone. It's the last meeting of the year. We've come a long way in this town for 24 some odd years, but you know, when I hear residents like Brick, and it's not just him, there's many. This town didn't start in the year 2000. There's people that have been here way longer than that. And you know, I've mentioned it many, many times. I got here in 01, but in 2021, you can have a business in any property, regardless of zoning. What have I said all along? Could we get ahead of it? Could we try and guide people so that everybody can coexist nice, you know, without having lawsuits? What is the purpose of that? But nobody listens. Why? Because it's very easy to just toss everything to the court, you know, and that's the thing that we have got to get away with. We have got to stop doing to our residents. When it doesn't affect your pocket is when you're like, well, you know, who cares? It's not my problem because I got a retirement check. I don't have to work anymore. But the folks that are come up here to bark, well, bark, funny word I say, right? It's their livelihood, right? I went all up and down 210 Terrace, and it's not just 210 Terrace. Any nursery, any doggy daycare, any food restaurant, if you want to make muffins from home and sell them, anything you want to do in a residence, you can do as a business, of course, with some rules, right? And there's an agenda item that I'm going to really get involved in because, Steve, you and I walked the property. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it involves myself. I'm not even going to say what I'm going to say about Gary because we're going to do the, there's an agenda item, but you'll laugh in a minute. You'll get some jokes out of it. But how do we have a rural town that's full of nurseries, full of big properties, full of freedoms that you can't express because we got to be worried about the town council and you got to be worried about code enforcement? Come on. Didn't we pass an amendment that we would never have future items added to a list of code enforcement that we all were so proud of? We did that, right? But yet we use residents and we put them in a position to file complaints that aren't even their complaints. Hey, if you file a complaint on this guy, we could cite them. That's how we live in a rural community? I'll show you rural. Go to Okeechobee. Go to Indian River County. I have real estate up there. They don't do this stuff. People communicate. This doesn't work like this, guys. We cannot start another year exactly the same way. Listen, there's a lot of items, a lot of things that have changed since this town formed. A lot. It's not the same. The state, like you said, have taken away a lot of your home rule powers. And I know you guys probably think I'm crazy, right? But you know what? I speak from the heart. There's many, many people. It's not just myself. Look at all the business licenses that Broward County issued to to many residents here in Southwest Ranches with their businesses. It's not just one. Give me 20 seconds. I never asked for extra time. 20 seconds is all I asked for. So let's come up with a plan that a company like Lemon Lime Landscaping or any other business that's like that, that's been here for ages, no matter what the structure is, whether he leases it, he rents it, he owns it, or there was a use and a change, why can't we have an ordinance like Palm Beach County does where it says, you know what, you have a nursery, but you can have a slight percentage of landscaping? What does that mean? There's a happy medium for everybody to operate and everybody to exist and earn their living. That's all I got to say. I'll speak about the other items when it's my turn. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yeah.
we have one late speaker. Do you mind accepting it?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So Rose Williams will be the final, absolute final speaker.
Welcome, Rose.
Hi, guys. I didn't want to rain on anybody's parade last week with this topic, but I'd say congratulations, Mayor Steve.
Thank you.
My neighbor, David. Rose Williams, 6011 Holity Trail. So I'm here tonight because I've been living in this town way before it was incorporated, almost 30 years. I go back to Mecca Fink. And I've endured the hate and the racism of some people in this town, okay? And me, I'm not intimidated, okay? And I won't be intimidated. So I'm a very active person politically. I respect everybody's view politically, just like I respect people's religion, right? I don't complain, I don't hate. You have your view and I have my view. I've been told in the past, and I comply with our rules, that I couldn't put signs on my swale politically when it's election. I didn't. But yet I saw it all election and nobody said anything. I put them on my fence. I put Steve, I've had Jeff Nelson, I've had Mecca Fink, right? That's okay. Everyone is allowed to do what they have to do. So this political cycle, unfortunately, I vote one way and you vote one way. I respect you. You don't come on my property and rip off my signs, okay? You will not intimidate me. I have a nice picture of a golf cart, and whoever knows that golf cart, I filed a complaint, I have given it to the state attorney's office, and the next time I see that golf cart with a person on it, I will call the police, all right? It's a nice, beautiful color picture of them taking my sign off my property. And so if anyone here think they can intimidate people because of their political persuasion or how they look or how they speak, you've got the wrong house. I've been here 30 years, okay? And if you do that throughout the neighborhood, it's unfortunately, there's some people it was done to, and they're afraid to speak up. I'm not afraid to speak up, okay? And it will not intimidate me, and I will prosecute that person when I see that golf cart, okay? And it's so sad. I live in this beautiful area, and I've been here. I've raised my 2 boys here, okay? One of them is a state attorney, all right? And the other one, I've been here too many times that he's had problems because he's special needs, right? And to see what I have endured. And there are other people endured it, but they're afraid to speak up, right? They're afraid. Can you imagine? You live in this community, you're afraid of your neighbors. What is that? 3 days after this election, I guess that's the norm for everybody nowadays. This is the hate. 3 days after election, I'm going to read this. I know I'm running out of time. A neighbor dropped this in my neighborhood, in my mailbox. She says, "Thank you for your strength in hanging your signs proudly this past election season. It gave us strength. Even though we were afraid and we did not feel comfortable doing the same in this community, we really appreciate you standing strong." I shouldn't get a card like that. It's a sad thing. So let me tell them, I will prosecute the next time I see this golf cart because I have a nice picture at home of it. Thank you.
Rose, thank you for bringing that to our attention. I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for bringing that forward. All right, public session is closed. Do we have any board reports this evening?
Good evening. Harold Gubnitsky, Zero Waste Advisory Board. We had our last advisory board, Zero Waste Advisory Board, last week. And I think, the summary is that we've kind of ended the year with good momentum going into 2025. I want to, thank the council and the mayor for support and being there. I think we have a good group to go forward in 2025. A couple of highlights that we did go over and going into our January meeting, we went ahead and narrowed down the scope for our consultants, and I think gave information for the city to go ahead and start the procurement process for a consultant, as well as grant writing. And both of those have a similar theme where we're focusing on the awareness, behavior modifications, education, reaching out to schools, doing the things we want to do to just help promote the zero waste and overall awareness there. So we're excited about that. We've got a couple of other things that we moving forward on as well. We're going to go ahead and continue on the awareness as well in the newsletter. So start to get some bullet points in there, just to keep that awareness. I think we'll see more and more kind of creative things that we could do along the way. And then I think there's other things. John Garati, thank you for your efforts in doing the things that you're doing for the town activities and making sure that the awareness for garbage and waste, and we're doing green things there. So we want to support him along those lines as well. So that's just kind of some of the highlights. And I just want to say, thank you to the mayor and to the council here and everyone, all the things you guys are doing. I think, it's been an overall productive year. Not everyone's happy all the time. We know that there's a lot to achieve, but you guys, I think in general, have done a great job, and thank you for your service, because it's not something you're up there getting big paychecks for. You're doing this because you care about the city and you're trying to do the right thing. So I personally thank you and wish everyone a happy holiday and a happy new year.
Thank you.
I speak on behalf of the Ed Board. Just to make everyone aware, we're just starting the kickoff and the planning for the barn dance. That'll be March 15th. So we're looking for volunteers, whether it's student volunteers or even adult volunteers, anyone that wants to help. And we have many opportunities for whether it's looking for donations, auction items at the event itself. So if anyone, it's not too early to please let us know to make it less stressful for us in planning the event, so we know we have the volunteers out there. And also we need to, if you're looking for volunteers, for donations, this is the time we need to start getting out there, as the event is in mid-March. So if you can reach out to either Debbie in Town Hall, or you can reach out to me. Thank you.
Any other board reports? Seeing none, board reports are closed. Council member comments.
Yeah, I'll go.
Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. First off, let me say to all the guest speakers, I had no idea I was so popular, for reasons I'm still kind of scratching my head about, but I'm sure it'll become aware soon enough. Just a few general announcements I want to make. We know we have the Country Carnival and Fair coming on January 16th through the 20th, which is right around the corner. It's only a month and a half away. We also have Water Matters on the 8th of March at Treetops Park, which we have a large presence there, thanks to December and Chris Brownlow. And we have closer to us, Hazmat at the Barn on the 11th of January. So that's always a good thing to get rid of all your batteries, aerosols, old tires, whatever you have. That is really our a prime recycling point. We have completed the Holiday Light Contest, and I'll let one of the other council members talk about that. Our 25th anniversary is, or silver anniversary, whatever you want to call it, birthday. Susan just spoke about it, so I won't go into more detail than that, other than I wish she'd had a different caterer, but, that's all right. Let's see, we have the 5K coming up on April 5th at 6 a.m. Early registration will be coming soon, so I'd advise everybody to sign up, save a few dollars, and that way we've got a pretty accurate count of how many people are going to be there for that, and that's held at the barn.
What day is that? What day is that?
April 5th.
April 5th.
April 5th. And then we have the March 15th barn dance, which is for the Education Advisory Board. It's really a nice dinner, a nice night out. So the tickets will be available soon. Are they available now? Soon. Okay, soon. Very good. And to close, I just want to say happy holidays to everybody, and hope stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. You'd like to go next?
I'll go.
Thank you.
Want to wish everybody happy holidays, happy New Year. Last night, we had a lot of fun last night, handing out the awards for the Rural Arts and Design Advisory Board's Holiday Lights Contest. We started here at 7 p.m., followed our volunteers, the fire truck, the alarm and lights, or the siren and the lights going off. First stop was third place, 4811 Southwest 188th. And these two homes are across the street from each other, and they compete every year. Both houses look amazing. The 4811 came in third place. And we trekked on over to Rolling Oaks, to 17900 Southwest 70th place. And this was a very elegant, in my opinion, very elegant holiday display. And the home was green, and then they had all the lights. Everything was almost perfect. It was just absolutely beautiful. And then we went on over to 16601 Southwest 64th Street, and this home actually had a holiday trail, a Christmas trail that you walk through the property and see one little display here, one display here. There was a giant abominable, I can't say abominable snowman. It was giant, and its mouth opened up. It was really, really interesting. It had a giant Santa Claus. I got a photo in front of that. All in all, it was a great event. Everybody had a wonderful, wonderful time. And I really encourage folks to participate next year. It was a great event. Even George was hanging around. His daughter said this is the last time he's invited. That does it for me, Mr. Mayor. Thanks. Happy holidays, folks.
Thank you, David. Jim?
Yeah, Mayor, I'll be real quick. I do want to elaborate on a couple things that David just said. On 179th, very elegant, but he forgot to mention that there was a Lamborghini in the pool. I know some of you sitting there looking like, what? But there was a Lamborghini in the pool. It was part of his decorations, and it was really something. But then there was also the Rolls Royce and the other elite cars in the garage. So I guess a Lamborghini in the pool didn't mean that much, but it was absolutely spectacular. Just absolutely spectacular, right? And then the last one, the one that won first place that David said where the snowman was, I was there judging the night before, and I spoke to the daughter. She's 10 years old. If you took the walk down the path, she gave you a candy cane. She explained everything, and at the end, she gave you a candy cane. The night of the awards, Santa was there, and Santa asked her if she had her candy canes available if people were to walk down the aisle, down the path, and see all the decorations. And she said no, but she ran and got them. And she came back out, and she handed Santa Claus a candy cane. And her dad asked her if she would like a picture with Santa Claus. And she stood there a second, hesitated, and then shook her head, yes. I stepped over, put my arm around her. We both held up candy canes, and they took a picture. He then brought me off to the side and told me that that was her first picture ever with Santa Claus, that she's 10 years old. 2 days ago, they tried again to get her to sit on Santa Claus's lap or to say hi to Santa Claus, screaming and hollering and carrying on. So I was honored and just absolutely thrilled to be the first Santa Claus that she took a picture with. And that just tore my heart out. But if you get a chance to go out to see these three houses, do so. I want to thank the Rural Arts Board for everything, the judging. Had a little fun on judging night. It was great. But if you get a chance to get out and see it, do that. And we're going to be voting on all this later, but all the members of all the boards, what a fantastic job all of you do. This town wouldn't be the same without you. It's the volunteers that make everything work real good. And, I just appreciate the trust that the town put in me. I'm very humble and honored to be able to sit here for the next 4 years and represent the town on the different boards for the county and for here. And I think the next 4 years will be a great 4 years for this town. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Bob?
Good. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. They mentioned the Lamborghini in the pool. Nobody's mentioning, those cars have tires this tall, okay? Real low riders. About half that was in water. He had one of those really cool, what do they call them, infinity pools? Infinity pool where it looks like he's sitting in 50 feet of water, but the truth was it was only this deep. He wouldn't put his Lamborghini any place that it would get hurt. But thank you to the residents and also to the Rural Arts Board for taking care of this. It was a good time last night. We got the pictures. You'll see them in next month's newsletter. Next month, right, Susan? Good, good. I also wanted to mention something that David's got coming up in the next newsletter. He asked me to come over and take some pictures at his house last Sunday of him with his garbage pail. I thought, this could be interesting. I've taken pictures of a lot of things, but not people with their garbage pails. So he has this really good idea. I'm not going to give it away. Check out next month's newsletter, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But after taking the picture with his creativity, it gave me an idea. We're always looking for ways to promote recycling, to have people do the right thing with using the green pail for the right thing and the blue pail for the important stuff. So we talked about possibly doing a bit of a photo contest where the Zero Waste Board will judge and pick maybe first, second, third. And the point is to ask our residents to show creative uses, legitimate uses for their garbage pails, how they put it out. I mean, I have neighbors that have these elaborate contractions they've built to drive them out to the road behind their tractor. I have other neighbors like myself. I got one in one hand and one in the other, and I probably look like a goofball taking my pails out twice a week. But the point is really to keep people engaged and keep it top of mind that we really want people to recycle more. So look forward to more information about that. As well, now, I did talk about some prizes with Russell, but we have to figure that out. I'm not sure what the appropriate prize for creative use of your garbage pails are, but we'll come up with something creative. The last thing is, a couple of months ago, I mentioned we're planning another trip out to the recycling plant out on 27. It's called the Rooter plant. That's Waste Management, WM's recycling plant for this area. If you're interested, stay tuned to the town newsletter. I'll be publishing the dates. I've reached out to her to ask her for a couple of dates, so when we have a firm date, sometime in the first quarter, I'll let you know. Other than that, happy holidays, everybody. Enjoy it with your families. Thank you.
Hey, Bob, count me in on a Saturday for that trip.
Okay,
Recycling.
sounds good.
Bob, I have a quick question. If it's in the middle of the year, does the Easter Bunny give out the awards? Or who's going to give out the awards for the recycle bins and for the prizes? Or so? Santa does it.
We'll have to see,
Okay,
yeah.
you have to come up with somebody.
I like that better than one of us giving it out for sure.
All right, all right.
Good.
Easter Bunny doesn't talk.
All right, I think we're getting a little off track.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. All right, just a few things that I wanted to cover. I've gotten, one of the things that I had noticed, and I've actually started to get some feedback from residents as well. We had an effort to try and focus Davie PD towards the interior roads, and I thought they did an excellent job of that and saw a lot more of that. But I think that for whatever reason, that seems to be wearing off, both from what I've seen, from resident feedback, and also looking at the police reports. It looks like that time inside the interior roads has dropped off dramatically in the last couple of reports that I've looked at. So I just want to bring that up so that we can maybe re-emphasize that, and especially now going into the holiday season, we know this is a time when it's not unusual to see a spike in packages being stolen and things like that. So if we could please reinforce that, Russell, I would appreciate that. And one other thing, just from a Davie PD standpoint, I've noticed, and I've talked to Davie PD about this. They're reporting. They've gone through a process and they've gone to a new reporting system, which is great. They're upgrading. They're getting more current, and that's a positive thing. But it seems like it's taken a long time for the reporting to start working properly again, and so. I can write an email or a note. Probably better to come first from administration first, and then if it still persists, I can follow up there. And I'm not criticizing them because I know they want it done as much as we want it done. But if we can add our voice to their voice and try and get this company to do the right thing as quickly as possible, that would be a good thing. So it's not really directed at Davie. It's directed at the vendor that they got it from, and let's see if we can't get this resolved. Yeah, good. Thank you. All right. Couple other things. Rick, I do appreciate you being out here this evening. I know you're frustrated with the process and how it's gone. Just a few comments based on what you said. Yeah, that is my article, and I'm not sure what the nexus is between the article and exactly what you were saying there. But yes, I am doing the best I can to fight the incinerator, that's for sure. And if you come up here, I understand, things happen that people are happy with what I do, and things happen where people are not happy with what I do. And that's what I signed up for. So I'm fine with that. I try and do the best I can for the town and for everybody in the town. But inevitably, whenever things go one way or the other, there's always people that it works out well for and people that it doesn't work out well for. So I understand where you're coming from. What I don't understand is the attack on your neighbor, Ron Martinez, who is a stellar individual. He's been here for decades, and that's his homestead there. And Rick, you've had your time. And Ron has been there I don't know exactly when he moved in there, but it's been more than 10 years. 1996, before we were even a town. We need to have so 1 year, okay. Well, he was there since before. 1985, not 1995. I need for you to all either be quiet or to leave. Which will it be? Okay. Ron is a stellar individual. I've known this man for a long time. He's worked with me on a number of projects, not for him, not for me, but for the town. He's given his time and energy for the town. And he works on boards. He has been an exceptional individual, an exceptional rancher, and a quality individual that stands behind what he says. And frankly, he was there before we were a town, and you all worked with him, and you all were good neighbors for a long time. And there was no issue. There was no issue. Even though what you were doing was not necessarily falling within the rules, it didn't matter because you got along, and that's the way we do it in the ranches. It's why not everything is proactive. Because we want people to respect one another, we want people to work with one another, and even if you take a step outside the bounds, so long as you show respect for one another, you live your life, we live our life. It's not a big deal. It wasn't until you changed your business model and you started composting things there, and he could no longer enjoy his property based on what was going on your property. And why you did that, and why you did not reverse it once he brought it to your attention and all this would have gone away, that I don't know. I need for you to leave. I need for you to leave, Rick. I'm sorry to say that, but I need for you to leave because you can't keep quiet.
We don't want to do that. We want the incinerator, baby. You'll get the incinerator. $2 billion. $2 billion. Incinerator.
I'm sorry we had to do that, but we have to have order here. And what I'm telling you is all the truth. And I wish that they had stayed neighbors. I wish that they had stayed friends. I wish that the business model had not changed because it was a good partnership for many years. But unfortunately, after that changed, the Martinezes could no longer stand to be on their own property. The stench was too strong, and they could not enjoy their property. And when that happens, unfortunately, that's when code compliance needs to come into play, and ordinances are enforced. So it's unfortunate, and I feel bad for Rick. He's built a business out there. Rick is a great guy. Rick has donated to this town. I have nothing against Rick. He is a great guy. But unfortunately, in this situation, there was a disrespect between neighbors, and this is where it leads to. So I think this is important for all of us to hear and listen. I'm glad it came up tonight. Even though I feel bad for Rick, I'm glad it came up tonight, because this is what we all need to learn from, is we need to show respect for our neighbors. Rose, it's the same thing that you brought up tonight, and I'm deeply sorry about that as well. We need to show respect for one another. We are all blessed. We are incredibly fortunate to live where we live. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. All you got to do is go to any community outside of us, and as soon as I ask you, where are you from? You're from Southwest. What's the first thing they say? Oh, I wish I could live there. Right?
For sure.
We are incredibly blessed to live where we live, but we need to show respect for one another. So I'm sorry for where Rick is at. I wish I could resolve it, but at the end of the day, it's all about respect, and we need to do that for one another. So I'll leave it there. The last thing I wanted to touch on, I do want to wish everybody happy holidays, but beyond that, we're going into the New Year's celebration, and that means fireworks, which is always a tricky time for us in the ranches, because we have all the animals and the horses, and frankly, a lot of folks that have issues with the sound and PTSD and all that. So this is what I'd like for you to do, and it dovetails right what we were just talking about with respect. There are 2 days, and just 2 days, when you can do that this time of year. There's a third day, 4th of July. But this time of year, you can, on the 31st and on the 1st, it is legal to shoot off fireworks. And so I understand that. But this is what I would request of you. If you're going to do that, please, 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 especially if you live next to neighbors that have animals, please let them know so that they're prepared, so they can prepare their animals. Perhaps they can move them. Perhaps they can, get them prepared, whether it's the ears or an injection or whatever it is, get them prepared. So that we have had animals get severely hurt. We've had animals die in the past due to this. It's serious, it's real, and so I ask you to please let your neighbors know if that's what your plans are. But do enjoy the holidays. I hope whatever you celebrate, have an awesome time. I hope that you have a great time with your friends, your family, and keep it safe and enjoy.
Mayor, if I could jump in and just add
Sure.
to that, just real quick, to remind everybody that we do have a party permit policy, and that would apply to very large gatherings with amplified sound
Yep.
going beyond the boundaries. And it's just a reminder that you need to apply for that, and there are certain rules and stipulations to qualify for that.
Great.
So it's just a reminder. That's all.
Excellent reminder. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, it's called, I just filled one out, Indoor-Outdoor Assembly Permit. It's on the town website under, I believe, Code Enforcement? Zoning, sorry. Thank you.
Code compliance.
Code Compliance, sorry.
Great. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate the reminder. All right. Legal comments.
Sure, Mayor. I ditto your sentiments to happy and healthy holidays and New Year. I don't think we meet again until after,
No.
2025. So
Right.
have a happy holiday, everyone. Ms. Williams, just a super quick question. Did you file a police report with the town? I did. Okay, good. Because we're going to look into this tomorrow to make sure that it's still being investigated. It didn't see it on my desk, so I just wanted to make sure you filed it. So thank you for that. Mayor, just a recap, last Wednesday, I think, the town had a shade session. We've implemented a lot of the things that were discussed throughout the shade session, but as a result of our implementation of a lot of things, new motions that were filed this week in response to some of the things that we did based on that shades session, and now some very fallacious information that has been posted on Facebook that I need to be able to respond to. I have spoken to Russell, and he's checked the calendar. We would like to have another shade session at 6 p.m. on December 18th to discuss, 6 or 6:30? Sorry, 6:30. Thank you. 6:30 on December 18th to discuss all active litigation in the town. Although it's semi-dormant, I was asked by a council member why an item on the last shade session agenda had been taken off, and it related to attorney's fees. They wanted to talk to the council directly about that, and as a result, it has to happen in shade. So that will be on that agenda as well for purposes of discussion with the council. But, so I just want to make sure everyone's okay. We're going to discuss every matter that we discussed last time. It was fully posted, noticed, everything else, but at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, December 18th, same room, same everything else.
Great.
Does that work?
Keith.
Other than that, no further legal comments.
Very good. Russell, administrative comments.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a few things that I want to cover. One is, I'd like to see if we can place a discussion item on a future agenda related to the duration of time that homes are under construction within the town. We currently don't have a provision within the town code that speaks to how much time someone can have to build a home. And in some cases, it's been an inordinate amount of time for some of these homes to be built. And what can happen is it can impact the community. We had a situation in one of the subdivisions. I won't get into detail exactly which one it was. I'll just say it's near Volunteer Road. And a home was under construction for a very long time, impacting the community. We had a very concerned resident that came out as it related to an impending storm, and the home under construction had a lot of debris and construction materials that were laid out there. And without any kind of guidelines as to how long a home can be under construction, it can be years and years and years and years. And so I'd like to at least bring up a discussion item for council to consider a code amendment that would relate to that. This is specifically geared towards it seems to be happening more so with single-family homes that are built by owner builders. Developers tend to have, obviously, a lot more incentive to get something done and built more quickly. But with owner builders, for whatever reason, it seems like these things can take an inordinate amount of time. So the amount of time the council will be comfortable with will be obviously a policy decision, but I think it might be prudent for us to discuss that and whether or not it's actually needed or not, so.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I mean, it's something we can definitely talk about. I think, I have a lot of questions about it. Let me just put it that way. I don't want to get into it tonight, but I have a lot of questions about it.
Just a quick comment. Russell, I would beg to differ on owner-builder because there's one across the street from me right now. It's on its 4th year. And it's general contractor and multiple investor owners. That's been the problem with it. So it's not just owner-builder.
Okay.
We got to look at a lot of scenarios.
Sure. Just a discussion item, and we can talk about, I'll do some research. It'll allow me to come back with some research and maybe some potential recommendations. So we'll just,
Good.
So if you're okay with that, we'll put it on the agenda, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Russell.
I have a few other things. So related to, Mayor, related to your comments, related to the traffic detail, I did want to reemphasize that as an outcrop of the Public Safety Traffic Committee, we did talk about doing the traffic details, which have been pretty successful, as you said. Lately, we have had some difficulty filling those spots. I apologize. Keith, crouch down. We have had some difficulty filling some of those spots. That's because those details are voluntary. So we are working with police administration, namely Major Stone. I've talked to Eddie Velasquez, Detective Velasquez, about this as well. So we're looking at some other options that we can try to incentivize officers to take those details and make sure that we have the coverage that we're looking for. That, again, this is just a reminder, this is in addition to the normal patrols that we have. We also wanted to, as an outcropping of the Public Safety Traffic Committee, we wanted to have overnight details. So we were refocusing some of these traffic details beginning in the month of December to overnights to address some of the property crimes that tend to increase during this time of year. So we were looking at having property crime, property crimes be thwarted by having additional details in the neighborhoods interior to the town, overnights between, I won't say the exact hours because we don't want to necessarily tip our hands to that, but so that's actually being done right now. So I did send out a message about that earlier this week. Not sure if everyone has seen that, but we can do that as well as the other traffic details as well if that's council direction. So.
Yeah, just to comment on that. So the extra details are great, but that wasn't really my emphasis in my comments. My comments are that historically, and maybe, I'm so appreciative of Davie law enforcement, so I'm not throwing stones there. I just want to understand and see how we can perhaps improve. So historically, they've spent a lot of their normal time when they're not on a call somewhere, it seems like, out on Griffin Road doing traffic enforcement on Griffin Road. Clearly, that's where the speeders, you get more speeders than any place else. However, I think what does the town the most good is rather than, if they're not on a call, rather than them being on Griffin Road, is to be on the interior roads. Just our normal details, not special details. I mean, we can do with special details, that's great, but I'm just talking about our normal details. And it seems like for a while that was happening, and it does not seem like that's continuing at this point. It seems like now I'm seeing a lot more when I am driving around, especially in the evenings, and I'm seeing the officers back out on Griffin Road again. And maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe we need to get some, have like a presentation. Maybe I need to be educated on exactly what's going on there. There may be a good reason for it that I just don't know. But I can tell you that I've noticed it. Our residents have noticed it. I've gotten calls about it. And so I'd like to push them back into the interior of the town again, unless there's some reason that they need to be out there, and I'm not aware of it, so.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. I appreciate that. I can tell you that it has been a point of emphasis for me from the very beginning to ask them to work the interior roads a lot more. I've expressed to Davie Police that, basically FHP is out there, BSO is out there, and for them to be out there as well, to me, is a little bit I think we would be better served to place more of an emphasis on the interior roads. I agree with you. So I have had those conversations in the past. I will apparently need to have those conversations again, and I will definitely do that. So,
thank you, Russell.
You're welcome. A couple other things. Gary, first of all, I'm shocked that you missed 2 events tonight. So I just wanted to kind of call you out on that. So there's, on February 15th, we're going to have the Fun Horse Show at the Equestrian Park. And on February 22nd, we're going to have the Chili Fest and Car Show at Rolling Oaks Park. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew about that. I know you usually cover these things, but I just wanted to give you a helping hand tonight.
Always
So.
just testing you.
When's the carnival,
Very
chili
good.
cook-off, all that?
The carnival is January 16th through the 20th. It starts January 16th. The car show is on February 22nd. That's the Chili Fest and Car Show at Rolling Oaks Park. And on February 15th, it's the Fun Horse Show at the Equestrian Park.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just 2 other things. Hopefully, you have all had the opportunity to see the beautiful holiday light display and decorations at Town Hall tonight. Hopefully, you noticed that when you came in. I think the decorations look great. And I'd like to thank our own Susan Cutts for championing this cause and pushing me and making sure that we did something decorative this year and improving the look of Town Hall. The decorations, yes. I think the decorations make the Town Hall look very festive, and hopefully it's getting everybody ready for the holidays. As this is the last meeting before the holidays, I would like to extend wishes for a healthy and happy holiday season to all of our residents. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Great, thank you, Russell. All right, item number 9, please.
Item 9 is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, adopting the 5-year schedule of capital improvements for fiscal years 2025 to 2029, pursuant to Chapter 163 Florida statutes, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. First reading was approved on November 21st.
Thank you. Do I have a
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any comment on this item from the council? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, public comment closed. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Item number 10, please.
Item number 10 is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, creating Chapter 28 of the Town of Southwest Ranches Code of Ordinances to create a chapter entitled Public Camping or Sleeping, Prohibition Penalties, Complaints, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on this item?
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. This is, actually comes based on some changes in state law, and Davy had already implemented a ordinance on this to bring them into compliance, and ours is aligned with theirs. So that's really the genesis of this item. Is there any council comment on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, public comment closed. If you can please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed, first reading.
Thank you. Item number 11, please.
Number 11 is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, repealing and replacing Ordinance 2024-003, amending Section 9-5 of Chapter 9 entitled Noise of the Town of Southwest Ranches Code of Ordinances to amend the list of exemptions, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. This item may sound familiar. It's one we took care of last year. However, there was a piece of the ordinance that was not included, the business element to it. So this is no changes other than including the business element. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Keith.
Mayor, I also want to state one other thing. A resident sued us claiming that the business impact statement that had just passed state law was not included in the ordinance. Quite frankly, it wasn't included in the ordinance because the state hadn't given the municipality guidance yet on the form that needed to be submitted with the ordinance. This resolves that litigation in total through its approval. Nothing has changed except for the addition of that business impact statement.
Great. Thank you, Keith. Any council comment on the item?
No.
Seeing none, is there any public comment on the item?
John Garotti, 162nd Avenue. So this is the noise ordinance that was changed because of the Bruno's Happy Dogs case. And we have it on record before where they were cited, and that was never a violation. They were found not guilty of that. So, do you need a noise ordinance? Absolutely. Can a dog become, a loud barking dog could annoy somebody? Absolutely. But how are you going to enforce this? I would love to know how many times Julio is going to have to sit and go through, well, wait a second, what is my opinion of a disturbance? When is this a violation? How do I hold this up in court? So what happens if we have a little doggy party in the backyard? Is 2 barks a violation? 3? A minute? 2? I think I asked Keith this once, but I just want clarity. You know why? You got to have rules. We're super clear on that. But this is just toss it in there. And I read the business impact statement. Where's the impact to the businesses that are involved? It had one sentence in there. I'm not an attorney, don't claim to be, but I would really like explanation. So when I'm running my legal, small, tiny little business from home, I'm not ending up in court again, over and over and over. So yeah, business impact statement. It says one line. So I would love an answer to that. And I don't want to see Julio in the crosshairs over and over, like, hey, let's measure the barking. Where's the guideline to this? Supposedly Broward County has a nuisance, right? So what constitutes a nuisance? 1 bark, an hour, 2 hours? Do people tie dogs up to trees and let them bark all night? I'm sure there's idiots out there that do stuff like that. But we got to keep into consideration that, there are different rules to, there's different businesses you guys never had. This could affect me. Do I maintain noise to a very minimum level? Of course, I don't want to bother anybody. I'm happy to be operating, but I want some clarity, not just what this says.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, public comment closed. I'll just say that, it's a valid point in that it's difficult, right? And I think Julio would be the first to admit that it's difficult. A lot of these things are judgment calls, and it's not just this. It's a lot of the issues in code can fall under situations like this, whether it's lighting or sound or whatever. So, but that's what his team trains for. That's what he trains for. That's what they have certifications in, and they make those calls. And if it's valid, then it stands. If it's not, the magistrate is there to turn it down. So there's a process in place. And but it's difficult. But once again, that's not the part, there's no part of that has changed from what was passed a year ago. That's all still the same. All right. Any final comments from the council? Seeing none, if we can please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Passed on first reading.
Item number 12, please.
Item 12 is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, establishing a minimum interior space requirement to maintain canines within the town, providing for inspection, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. Is there any, well, I'm going to make a few comments on this item. So this item here, basically what we are trying to do here is set a standard for the amount of space each dog is required to have if you have this type of operation. And it's not spelled out today. We've done some one-offs. And in the one-off, we came to the agreement of 35 square feet per dog, if this is your type of operation. In reviewing what the standard is out there in the world at large, frankly, I wasn't able to find one. I did my own research because I wanted to understand that for myself. Different organizations have different standards. And you can pick and choose your organization, and you can pick and choose whatever standard it is. So if you want a high standard, you can pick this organization. You want a low standard, you can pick that organization. And that became very clear to me when I started looking at the different standards and the different organizations. Not that one is right, one is wrong. Some of them actually detail it based on if you have larger dogs, this is your standard. If you have smaller dogs, this is your standard. But once again, getting back to the conversation we just got done with, we can't have code compliance out there going out and measuring all the different dogs to see how much space each one requires. And so we're trying to thread a needle here, knowing that there may be some winners and losers, as there always is whenever the council makes a decision. But we're proposing in this ordinance that I've heard numbers as low as 35. I've heard numbers as high as 100 square feet per dog. And what this ordinance says is 60 square feet per dog. So it's in the middle. I think it's a reasonable standard. If it needs to be tweaked down the line after we get some experience behind it, then we may have to tweak it. We'll see. But I think it's actually a pretty reasonable standard, and I think it's something that will serve us well in the future. But like I said, if it doesn't, we're here to adjust it. So those are my comments. I don't know if there's any other comments from the council.
Mayor, real quick, this 60-foot is based on what percentage of the house?
For this type of business, it cannot exceed 50% of the house. It needs to be below 50%. Yeah, 49%.
49% of the house is the business, and of that...
It has to be, the bottom line is that the facility has to be primarily a residence.
Right.
So for it to be primarily a residence, then more than half the house has to be a residence.
So that 49% of the house that would be the business would be 60 square foot per dog in that area there.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I did have a question. When I guess it initially crossed my mind, this was to apply to entity or residents that have boarding operations and not breeding operations. Now I see breeding operations in here, and I spoke with Lil Sayer, and she said we've got all these requirements that we have to meet as breeders, which are different than what we're attempting to do here. And I'd just like to know why was breeding brought into this?
I can't answer that. I didn't bring it in.
Because the applications that the town currently has is for breeding and boarding. It's for both. So
Okay.
did Lil have a suggestion on the breeding
She
element?
did, she asked me the question, and at that time, I hadn't even looked at the agenda.
Right. So what my response would be is after first reading, we can always change it.
Okay.
Maybe you can ask her, and we can research if there's a different standard between breeding and boarding. I have no idea. You would think breeding may be actually more because there's more
Right.
dogs.
That's what I
but-
believe. That's what I think it is.
But so if that's the case, 60 would work and probably give them a bonus over what it may actually be. But let's research that component between first and second reading.
Thank you.
Okay, any other council comments? Seeing none, public comments.
All right, here we go. John Garotti, 162nd Avenue. I hope, Lauda, you're watching this. I love you. This is the reason why we live here. So, Gary, did you fill out a certificate of use when either your son or grandkid was taking care of dogs that you announced? Do you have that?
It's not
Did you
interactive.
follow that? Okay, so that's what I meant about that, because you said that. Now, here we go with unenforceable again. So, can I approach you, Steve?
Sure.
This is something that I should have emailed you, but this is what breeders go by. It's called the USDA's Animal Welfare Act. Now, you could be a breeder, you could be a boarder, you could be all of the above, but there's a standard there. So, in the case of Bruno's Happy Dogs, in the case of anybody that has a USDA license, that is the United States Department of Agriculture, hence agriculture, hence Southwest Ranches, right? What we want to do is make sure that we don't bother our neighbors, right? So I would like to know how many people have been, how many businesses like mine have been cited for this? None, except for one, because there was a high-profile resident that started, and we all know the whole case, right? It's your opponent. Now, she's not here. Wonder why. The problem with this is, once again, it's unenforceable. The Animal Welfare Act guides them clear as day. Their permit that they have guides a breeder clear as day. It clearly states that the minimum space requirements will constitute part of a, how do I explain? They used to be called dog runs, or a dedicated area where a dog needs to exercise. So if we're going to do 60 square feet, I've spoken to everybody that has a certificate of use and everybody that doesn't have a certificate of use. We're cool with 60 square feet. I don't have it. I have 35, and it said that I'm exempt, and I hope that's the case.
It is.
Now, if a new operation, which a very prominent vet, and I really need.
Wrap it up.
Well, this is important, Steve.
I
I mean,
know
wrap
it's
it up,
important.
but this is my livelihood
All right.
here, and many others.
2
So,
more minutes, 2 more minutes.
thank you. So, since we already have guidance from a state level, and the business that I run is governed by 559.955, clearly states a local, home-based business cannot be, I have it here, I'll forward it to all you guys. It says clearly that you cannot treat this business, restrict, regulate, or license in a manner that is different from other businesses. So if you got me at 35 and you got the other ones at 60, why do we want to continue to just give more people heartache? Why? For what? That's another lawsuit. Equal protection. Again, I'm learning as I go. But for what reason can't we just follow state rules? Simple. That's all we ask for. Bruno's is more licensed than I am. What happens? Read the ordinance that you're trying to pass. What happens if they're not staying over? If they're just coming over for 2-3 hours, because many of my neighbors do this. You know, Laura, do me a favor. We got movers. They're going to have a little party. Can you just shoot some pictures? And they're not going in the house. They're just going to run around and exercise by the oak tree in the backyard. What happens with that? That does not say anything about this. So I get that we have to have rules, but if you're going to do 60 square feet, let us, on our certificate of use for any future SAP that wants to do this type of 7-day-a-week, 14-hour business, just to put some money on the table, let them use and map out a dog run that will equate. We don't want to say 200 dogs. We don't want to do that, but the applications that are being looked at right now show 30. We live on acreage. Come on, let's use, I know you have 2 readings for this, but this needs work, for sure, because this is not, I'm exempt. I should be happy. The onus was put on me. I had to endure 18 months of, oh, put the owner, you figure it out. You know, you need 25 square feet for a kid, for a daycare, and 30 and 60 for a dog makes no sense.
Thank you. All right. Any other council comment?
Yeah, just for the record, since Mr. Garati brought it up, my son happens to house sit, so the dog stays at home.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Any other council comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed on first reading.
Thank you. Item number 13, please.
Item 13 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a new agreement with J.A. Medina LLC, approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 24-25 town budget, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute the amendment and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just one thing for the record. Prior to the meeting, we met with Julio Medina, who's here, who can speak tonight. A council member had requested that a small modification in the agreement. He immediately agreed to the modification, but I didn't have the chance to put it in yet. So I was going to just stop you from making your motion just to announce what the change was.
Sorry.
The council member Jablonski asked him to please list of the 5 code officers what their certification, their minimum certification level would be to further protect the town, you know, of what we're getting. He agreed that at a minimum, there's just a minimum, there'd be 1 code level 4, which is the highest, 1 code level 3, 2 code level 2s, and at least 1 code level 1 officer. In addition to that, in case that someone falls out of that ranking, he would have 120 days for them to seek the certification to move up into one of the other positions.
Perfect.
So, Julio, just for the record or a nod, you were amenable to that?
I think we have a slight modification on that number based on the conversations that I recall, but I'll. I think it was 4, 3, 2, and 1, 2.
2, 1, 1? Is that what it was?
1, 2,
Sorry, I wrote it right here.
Yeah.
It was 4, 3, 2, 1, 1.
Good. Correct.
Sorry about that. But other than that, Julio, you were in agreement? Yes, I am. Yeah. And the other one was based on what's there today, but he just wanted to cover himself. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 1.
So I modify my motion.
I accept it.
to
All right,
reflect
we
that.
have a amended motion, and I'd like to just take this opportunity to thank Julio and his team for the service that they've done for many years now for us. I've said this over and over. I see this as one of the toughest jobs in town, and you all are doing a great job. You know, it's a tough job because it's always a difficult situation when you're called into it or your staff is called into it. So appreciate that, and looking at, and Russell, I appreciate the work that you've done in doing different comparisons to make sure that what we're doing here is in fact competitive with what we could do either internally, or we could contract with Davy, or even go outside to another firm. Any way you look at it, we're getting real value with Julio and his team. So really appreciate that. And Russell, thanks for the work on the background of that to ensure we're making the right decision. I'm very comfortable with this. I appreciate the amendment that was made. I think it makes it stronger and better. Any other council comments on this item? Seeing none, any public comment on this item? Seeing none, if you please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Congratulations. Item number 14, please.
Item 14 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a purchase order with Her Homes LLC in the amount of $39,653.40 for completion of the Southwest 49th Court and Southwest 202 Avenue Drainage Rehabilitation Project, approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 24-25 town budget, authorizing the town administrator to execute the purchase order and providing for an effective date.
Motion.
Bob?
Oh, that's Bob's.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second on the item?
Thank you.
Is there any discussion from the council on the item? Seeing none, is there any public discussion on the item? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Happily.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. Item number 15,
Happy
please.
vote. Item number 15 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, consenting to the City of Sunrise providing water services to 14741 Sunset Lane, real property lying within the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, providing that no further expansion of service shall be permitted without the explicit written consent of the town, providing for a certified copy of this resolution to be furnished to the City of Sunrise, and providing for an effective date.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the item. Any discussion from the council?
I just have kind of a generic question on this.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been on wells since we built the house. My shallow well was horrible. My deep well, it's better than anything you buy in the store or get from any water system. Has anybody, and I asked Russell this question, does anybody ever ask folks why they'd rather go to city water versus having a well? I mean, I realize a lot of people don't understand how to maintain their well, but you know what? There's 4 guys that service our whole town. They make a living at it. I just wonder if anybody has any inkling as to why everybody wants to run to Sunrise. And what brought it to my top of mind to me was we were up in Orlando 2 weeks ago, right after Thanksgiving. And we were in Kissimmee, staying at a resort over there. And when I drank some tap water, I was blown away by the chlorine in the water. I mean, we just don't have that luxury here in town. So I was wondering if there's any anecdotal information on it. Keith?
Yeah, I've spoken to a couple residents. I'm sure everyone has their own reasons why. But the last one I spoke to on Luray Road told me it was because they are frequently suffer power outages. And when the power goes out, they lose their well. And therefore, they were tired of it. They wanted a constant water supply, even in the event of a storm. Again, I'm sure everyone has different reasons. That was just one I heard recently.
That's very common.
I heard that.
Very common.
All right. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, public comment closed. Any council comment? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Mayor,
Yes.
items 16 through 21, 22,
22.
excuse me, are your renewal of your boards under your policy. It just gets read into the record who your appointments are. If it behooves you, as we've done in years past, Debbie can read each one into the record, the appointments, and then you can vote on the lot if you prefer.
Sounds good. I don't have any problem with that. Any issues with that?
Happy.
Okay. Yes, please, Debbie.
Somebody get her a glass of water.
Yeah, we'll sit back and we'll.
Item 16. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, extending the term of the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Board, restating the board's scope, authorizing the town council members to administratively appoint board members, and providing for an effective date. Item 17. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, extending the term of the Drainage and Infrastructure Advisory Boards, restating the board's purpose and objectives, authorizing the town council's members to administratively appoint board members, and providing for an effective date. Item 18. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, extending the term of the Fire Advisory Board, restating the board's scope, authorizing the town council members to administratively appoint board members, and providing for an effective date. Item 19 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, extending the term of the Parks, Recreation, Forestry, and Natural Resources Advisory Board, ratifying the board's purpose and objectives, authorizing the town council members to administratively appoint board members, and providing an effective date. Item 20 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, extending the term of the Rural Public Arts and Design Advisory Board, restating the board's scope, authorizing the town council members to administratively appoint board members, and providing an effective date. Item 21 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, extending the term of the Schools and Education Advisory Board, restating the board's scope, authorizing town council members to administratively appoint board members, and providing an effective date. And item 22 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, extending the term of the Zero Waste Advisory Board, restating the board's scope, authorizing town council members to administratively appoint board members, and providing an effective date.
Very good.
Motion
Well done.
approved,
Second.
And when we say motion, we're talking about all those
Yes.
items, right?
the whole enchilada.
Very good. Okay. Is there any, yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple of comments about this. First off, to my knowledge, recollection, what have you, this is the first time where every one of our board members from the, 8 boards now, have re-upped. We don't have any turnover this year whatsoever, which says a lot. That's roughly, 40-some-odd people that serve the town month after month. The other thing that's truly amazing about this group of people and the help they provide is the majority of them didn't miss a single meeting this year. I mean, Debbie Green, you do 3 of them now, and you have 0 absences, so that's commitment, folks. Yeah. And it's not something we just show up, have coffee, and discuss a couple of things. The boards do work. They help us, a lot of the policy decisions that you hear us discussing up here. We all attend the meetings as well, so that's roughly about 16 meetings a month overall. Or is it 20, Jim? I forget.
About 16.
16, yeah, but the
Right.
point is that we're all in this together. We hear their deliberations on it. We then are primed for the discussions we need to have or things we need to bring back to Keith, Russell, or whoever the appropriate expert is, and it's based on their help. They help us make the decisions for the town. So I really want to thank everybody for serving. I believe all of us have served on the boards before we were ever on the council, so it's a great place to help the community. So thank you to everybody who's involved.
Very good. Well said.
Bob, not only do they serve on the boards, but they also serve on their home community HOAs too. So that's another night out for them.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Thank you.
Great. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none. Yeah, I'd like to just echo, very well said, but yeah, just my personal thanks to all those that are serving on the boards. And it is a sacrifice to be away from your family and to be out there, but it is really important. It's one of the key elements on how, on the council member, that we understand what the thoughts are and where we want to go as a town. So appreciate that. All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed for items 16 through 22.
Thank you. And I think Andy will be proud of us here on item number 23. Russell, you want to tell us what we're doing with that?
We're keeping the tradition, the Burns rule. We're punting this item, Mayor. We are requesting that we punt it to the meeting in January 23rd, but we would like to schedule a workshop with council on January 9th, just to kind of go over any, discussion about improvement or any goals that you would like to have for the charter officials and have those discussions at a workshop on the 9th. 6:30? Would that be okay?
I won't be.
I hate to say it, but yeah, I know I already gave my prior approval that I was going to be here. The world has changed since then. I will not be here on that date.
Yeah, I won't be here either.
Okay, that makes it a short meeting. No, I'm only kidding. How about the 16th? How about the 16th of January, the week after? Is that
I will be
better?
here.
You will be here?
That works for me.
Yeah.
What day of the week is it?
Oh, what day of the week?
That's the first night of the
It's first
carnival.
night of the carnival.
Or Mayor, you could do it
We could do it a Wednesday.
earlier on the 23rd as a workshop following into the meeting, which is what a lot of municipalities do.
Well, yeah, let's do that. I think that, let's maybe have a 6 o'clock or 6:30? 6 o'clock? 6:30. 6:30?
6.
Okay, a half an hour? That's sufficient?
Yeah.
It probably, sadly, it probably is
actually,
sufficient.
Okay.
the
that's not-
16th?
No, on the 23rd, the day of the
23rd,
council
okay.
meeting.
Can I just throw out one other day before we settle on that thing? Sorry. The Wednesday, the 15th, does that not work for council and for everybody else?
15th works.
It would work for me.
15th
Oh,
of
is it?
January?
Is it? No, that's a Monday usually.
I don't know, it's Mary Gay Chapel's 88th birthday, so.
Oh, it's a celebration for sure. The 15th at 6:30, the Wednesday.
It works?
That be okay?
We all right? I think we're good.
Okay, let's do it.
So January 15th?
January 15th at 6:30, right here. Great. Thank you, Russell. All right, so that is item 23. Item 24, Gary.
Rights away. All right. How to win friends and influence people. Here we go. Mayor, you brought up last meeting about rights away, and I have some thoughts on that. I'd like to, I think there's some discussion warranted on that. As it stands right now, there's 4 options on a right-of-way. One is to do nothing. One is to vacate a right-of-way. One is
Can I interrupt you just for a second?
Yeah.
When you say right away, can we limit that conversation to road right-of-ways? We're not talking about trailways, we're not talking
Right.
about, I just want to get that clear before we get, because otherwise it may.
I'm inferring road right-of-ways.
Thank you.
At this point, okay. As I said, do nothing. Right. Leave a road right-of-way the way it is. One is vacate the right-of-way, which has costs associated with that, both from the town and the petitioner, the property owner. A third one is MIW, which costs nothing. The maintenance and indemnification, and I'm not waiver, is that waiver? Yeah.
Work agreement.
Yeah, it costs nothing to the property owner or to the town. Keith does them gratis. And then the fourth item is converting it into an easement, where they still retain all of the property and the right-of-way is removed, but then an easement stays. In a particular case that you had mentioned, top-of-the-line statement, I never want to see Sterling Road built between those two. So I'm on board with that. Okay, but there's more areas that are further east that have identical right-of-ways. But what most people don't know is that 60% of that whole row, that lane that would have been Sterling if it had gone through, is covered by an easement, a 45-foot deep easement. It runs right almost two properties before the one property that you were talking about. So the easement conversion is very minimal in terms of cost, and the property owner gets certain rights. They can fence it in and do whatever they want to do with it, unless the town needs it, and the town may never need it. One of the things that I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just a question about the various things.
Yeah.
If they want to put a building up on there, so they want to put a shed on it or something along those lines, is that legal? And I don't mean a Ted shed where you can just tear it right down. I guess I'm interested to understand what the rights would be.
So in the past, when residents want to do something like that, we have given them our form, which is called the maintenance.
No, I get that one. We had
So-
discussions on
so
that, but he was talking about converting it to an easement.
Okay, so if it's an easement, technically, you aren't going to build a permanent structure on it, because I don't think you'd actually even get financing to do so or otherwise. But something like a shed, I would say the same thing, that I would have the residents still sign that same agreement, which basically says, it's basically a reminder to the residents saying that, listen, we're okay with you doing this, just know that at some time in the future, could never happen,
You're
could
talking about a
happen.
memorandum now, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just
got it, got
a
it.
document
I was
saying
just
to them that
interested
you
in
may
the
have
last
to
one.
remove it. And
Got
that's
it.
all it says. But there are hundreds of those across the town now, and we've never, ever, rescinded a single one of them, because it's really for the future of the town, not for today.
Right.
Yeah, case in point, I have the FPL easement on my back acre. I'm allowed to put containers back there. FPL can come in and say, hey, those have got to go, buddy. Or a shed, or I can't build a permanent structure
Right.
according to my deed. and stuff like that. So anyway, where I'm going with this is, obviously the easiest, cheapest, and quickest way for the property owner to fence in that property, if that's what they decide, or want to do something with it, is the MIW. That can be turned over very, very quickly, and help them out. But I really think we need to look at this as in a greater scope, like the whole town sort of thing, because, I could just see where if we grant one, then the line starts where there's just going to be more and more people granting it. I'll give you, for instance, just in a local one, 178th Avenue. It's a dead-end street. It's got a 100-foot road easement on a dead end. It's a dead-end street, and it's 100 feet. Some areas, some property owners have up to an acre in the right-of-way. Wow. It's on part of their legal description. And at the front of Rolling Oaks on 178th, it's only a 60-foot easement. And then after about 2 blocks, it expands to the 100-foot easement. So it's all over the lot. Absolutely. Is what I'm driving at. So what I think before we make any kind of decisions or put anything, because I'm not prepared to vote on anything with other than, let's say, an MIV or an easement, something that protects the town. I think we need to possibly run these through a couple of committees, like the Parks for Trails, Comprehensive Plan, something like that, and get their input on it and what they think on a global scale, on town-wide. We don't know what the town needs 30 years from now. None of us do. There may be a sewer line, a gas line, a water line. Who knows what happened? And I would hate to have a future council. Of course, all of us will probably be, at the happy farm somewhere, by then. But I would hate to have a future council that have to buy back an easement or eminent domain it or something to that, which is what we're exposing the future to that we have right now. So I think we need to take a greater look, a broader look at it, and go forward from. David, you have your hand up.
Yeah, my question is, if we do any of these methods, how would that affect setbacks?
That was why I wanted to understand the difference that I'd asked the question on.
They're still required to be, Julio, on an easement, obviously, we look at property line, but do you set back from an easement as well? Okay, that's what I thought.
He said only ingress, egress.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So the only easement that would impact the setback is an egress easement, but anything like an FP&L easement, drainage easement, no, is not taken into account.
But if what they're asking, and if you don't know this answer today, I might have to look at it also. If it's a right-of-way being converted to an easement, okay, so it's the street essentially in front of the home that is just right-of-way today, and the person says, I want to fence this in, I want to convert that to an easement, is the setback from the edge of the easement, or where's it from?
What kind of easement is it being turned into?
It's
for a trail? Or?
It's basically a right-of-way easement. It's an easement for
Yeah,
right.
so I don't think we need to go there, to be honest with you, because this is, and I'm going to get to this when I make my comments. Let's just hold off on that, all right? I don't want to get into the minutia of we could go into 1,000 different examples of different things that could happen.
Yep.
I don't want to interrupt, but I have a lot to say on this. But
Basically, what I'm driving at is I think this needs further research. Is really
Yeah.
what I'm driving at. So before we go about, cherry picking, or we have a line of people with 100 applications to remove their right-of-ways, that sort of a thing. I think that's what could happen if we don't do this in a thoughtful manner and thoroughly research it.
So coming out of this, we would expect some sort of a policy decision on how we want to move forward?
Say it again, please.
Coming out of your intent of a couple of months' worth of discussions amongst the board, we're looking to come up with a policy statement on how we want to handle the different types of rights of way?
that's one possibility. I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of
Just trying to
possibilities.
understand
out
the end game.
Yeah.
So let me jump in here. I can't resist it any longer, I'm sorry. So, because I think it started with a comment or a proposal that I made probably 6 months ago, maybe longer than that, where we were dealing with one particular property. It was a road easement specifically, and that's why I made this comment up front, because we're talking road easement. We're not talking about any kind of electrical easements or plumbing or sewer or anything like that, utility easement. We're not dealing with anything like that. We're not giving up any of those. We're talking specifically road right-of-ways here. And there are certain places in town, and such as Sterling Road, west of 166th, where there are wide easements for Sterling Road that I can tell you, as I don't care where at the matter of fact, because the council might go some other place down the road. I wanted a policy that said that for those types of situations, we no longer want our zoning and planning department to set aside those right-of-ways. Right now, they are forcing residents that do work on those properties to set aside those right-of-ways. I don't want them to do that. If those people have that property and they want to use it, let them have the property. Let them have to use it. I don't want it set aside for a big, wide road that could potentially be put in somewhere down the line. That's not who we are. I don't think that's who we should ever be. So that was my point. That was what kind of kicked this whole thing off, because I think there are certain places in town where that just should not, we have the opportunity to stop that now, and we should take advantage of that opportunity to do that. I will open up later. However, with that being said, Gary, I think you're right on target with your points, because there's that one to me is cut and dry. I know, I don't care how much research we do on that. I know where I'm going to fall on that one, okay? But that's an easy one. There's going to be ones that go into the gray areas that you're talking about. And so I agree 100% with what you're saying. And my intention in bringing this up was to I'd hope we get there a little bit faster, but I'm glad we're there now, to get to this discussion, exactly what you're talking about, to where here's the steps, getting back to Bob, your question. Here's the steps that I think we need to do. I think first, we need to have Rod and his team probably take a look at the town, these easements that are out there. I think, if there's any questions on what type of road easements we're talking about, we can get more clarification on that. But I think we're pretty clear on that. And provide us a list of the potential roads that are situations where there's large easements and the road is much smaller. And then, once we have that list, the council should see it, but then to follow up, I think it does need to go to the boards. I think it needs to go to the Parks Board. I think it needs to go to the Drainage and Infrastructure Board, maybe even the Comp Plan Board. We'll see. This is going to be a drawn-out process. But we need to get that. It should be a drawn-out process. It should be I have no problem with that. Yeah, I'm not disputing that. You're right. It's too big a deal. So we need that input from those boards. And once again, it reinforces how important those boards are. Then I think at that point, and Gary, I hadn't thought about this, but you made a great point that there's a lot of different options. And you know what? That's not an option that the town should be making, because what it does is this really affects those particular residents and property owners that are there, right? If they choose to give up their right-of-way, just give it up, that's a different decision than going from a right-of-way to an easement, as we discussed. That's why I didn't want to get into all the variations, because there's, even if we were to make that decision, depending on the particular property, it's still going to vary. It's still going to vary. So every property owner is going to have to come in, if they wish to, they don't need to, actually, I shouldn't say that. If they wish to come in and they have an interest in doing this, we need to be able to do, Gary, exactly what you did. And that's lay out those 4 different options, which I learned something tonight, and I appreciate that, on those 4 different options, and talk to them about what's the cost, what's the time frame in plot, how's it going to affect your taxes? It very well could affect your taxes. How's it going to affect your potential selling price of your property? It's probably going to affect that as well. So there's a lot of things, and every property owner is going to view that differently, and they'll make, on the same property, two different potential owners would make two different decisions. So it's a very unique situation, but I think we need to get the ball rolling and move this down the line. It should take time, but I also think it shouldn't take 4 years to do this either, I think, I don't know what the time frame is, a year, 18 months, I think
Why
is.
don't we set a goal?
I'm all for that,
Less than a year?
Yeah. I would say, I don't know, July 1st of 26.
26.
Yeah, I think it's going to be involved. I think it's going to be involved. So, I mean, if we can target July 1st of 26 to complete the process, I think that would be great.
Good.
I don't want to rush it, but this is something that could easily languish if we don't
Yeah. This
keep after
requires the
it.
due diligence, so.
It does.
Yeah,
So
but
that's my perspective on it.
Yeah, but just to capitalize on that for a second, I think that if somebody wants to go with the MIW or convert the right-of-way to an easement, that's something that we can probably expedite because the town's not losing any abilities there, and the property owner is gaining abilities.
That's right. And I would go a step further and say that I don't want to put any property owner on hold. If they want to come in, if they were already thinking about this and they want to do something like this, we just, we do the best we can with it and we move it forward. I am not proposing that any property is put on hold for 18 months till we go through this process. Let me be clear about that.
Okay. But let's use your example of possible Sterling Road. To the east of the one property you spoke of, there's four properties that have a similar right-of-way. Well, underlying that is a solid easement of 45 feet.
What type of easement?
I think it's a road easement,
Road or
to be honest with
utility?
you. That it's underlying the right-of-way. Rod would be able to answer that question better than me as to what type it is, but he's the one that pointed it out to us.
Okay.
To us. But anyway, being that what it may, I could see possibly 20, 30 years from now that there may need to be a sewer line put through
Right.
there
Right.
and a water line. Who knows where we're going with that, with
Uh-huh.
saltwater intrusion, you can only go so deep with a
Right.
well, and not everybody has the means to do
Well,
that.
let me be clear. I said nothing about giving up any easements. I said nothing about that.
No, but I'm just pointing stuff out,
Right.
is what I'm driving at. I would rather see easements
Right.
than right-of-ways,
Absolutely.
because it's kind of the best of both worlds.
That's my
Transfer
point.
rights.
That's exactly my point. I'm strictly talking about road right-of-ways.
Yep.
Not easements, not any other right-of-ways that are out there. Strictly road right-of-ways that are out there where it was leading to some development that Broward County was looking at 60, 70 years ago that, is clearly not in the best interest of Southwest Ranches.
Yeah, but these easements would be road easements.
I'm not talking about easements. Leave the easements alone.
Okay, all right. No,
We got to run those pipes one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still protects the town.
Right. And
If it needs it in
potentially-
the future.
100%.
Which it probably won't, but, why handcuffs a council 30,
Yeah.
40 years from now?
Potentially, if we're going to vacate a road right of way, maybe we want to claim a utility easement under it to preserve the capability of the corridors for different utility types, whether it's electric, whether it's, underground electric, whether it's
Drainage.
water, drainage, or sewers.
Transportation, a road.
Any of it.
Yeah, a road.
Even a trail maybe someday. We
Yeah.
retain the rights.
Like I say, if the rights are already there, if there's an easement already there, leave it alone.
But there aren't easements everywhere. That's what my point is.
I didn't finish my point.
Okay.
Finish my
Sure.
But if there's not, I don't see this as the time to figure all that out, to be honest with you.
In the next 18 months?
Yeah. To try and project what the future is going to bring for this town for the next 100 years and figure that out in the next 18 months? No, I don't think we're going to be able to do that, Bob. I'm sorry.
I'm good with that.
But I don't think we're going to be able to do it.
I don't think
But
we have that
if-
right anyway.
And we don't have that right, and it's going to be just as difficult to get it now as it's going to be 20 years from now if we have to pop. So I appreciate the thought. It's very forward-thinking, but I don't think it's
Anytime.
realistic.
Good.
So, anyway, that's.
Great discussion.
That's my, I wanted to discuss it, get it all out in the open like it should be.
I'm glad.
You know, and hear everybody's opinion one way or the other. Like I said, I'm not prepared to vote on any
neither.
of this stuff, except for maybe an MIW or an easement conversion, something like that where the town is still protected, you know,
Okay.
on something like that.
I see. Keith?
No, I want to make sure, you all are apparently on, Russell just said that, it's a little bit, you're all on the same page, but a little bit opposite pages, because, and I just want to make sure it's recognized by the council, and I think it is that you're making your point that you don't want to hold up anyone who may want to go through the process, and which would require a unanimous vote of the council, and Councilmember Jablonski is saying, I'm not voting for it. So.
No, it's two different, totally different things. Two totally different things. Item number one is an individual that comes up here and for whatever reason wants to make a change to a right-of-way or something like that. And that is going to come before us, just like it always has, and we'll make a decision. And if any one of the council members is not in favor of it, then it's going to fail.
Okay, but
that's okay. That's the way, that's the process.
You're correct.
The other one, let me finish. The other one is this 18-month project to come up with a plan, and I'm not ready to vote on that. I don't think any of us are ready to vote on that.
But what I'm hearing, Councilmember Jablonski, please correct me if I'm wrong, because Russell's whispering it to me also, is that what your point seems to be from our standpoint is that while you're not in favor of voting for anything now while the 18-month or however long study is going, that you are in favor of granting an MIW so that they can use that property while the study is ongoing. Are we hearing you incorrectly, or is
That's
that?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd vote on that. I think everybody up here would vote on that tomorrow.
Yep. All right, I'm going to open it up to the public. Any other?
What is the, Gary, explain the one you just talked about, the MRW, explain what that is.
Okay, let me have the expert explain it.
Yeah.
Keith, explain
I'm
what
sorry, Russell's still asking me questions.
MIW is.
Okay, a maintenance indemnification and work agreement is very simple. It's just an agreement with the resident where they recognize that whatever they're doing in the right-of-way, in the easement, or whatever the dedicated property is dedicated property, and that if the town ever needs that property, it would give them notice, and they would have to remove whatever improvements they have placed in that dedicated property. We have throughout the town mailboxes, paver driveways, sheds, fences,
Tree lines.
lights, a million different things that residents have come to the town for. It doesn't come before the council because it doesn't impact, anyone. If someone wants to put a fence in that right-of-way and Rod says there's no issue with it, provided that they sign an MIW, all that's saying to the resident is, at some point in time, the town could come back to you and tell you to please remove your fence, your mailbox, whatever you're placing there, because the town needs that property. We developed it in 2000 to give residents the ability to utilize their properties in the areas in front of their properties, primarily when the town engineer did not ever see a present need for the use of that property.
No permanent structure?
No, they still need permits if it's like a fence or something of that nature.
No, I'm talking about, they can't build a building there. I mean, they can
Oh,
put
no,
sheds
not
and
a house.
fences. Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that would be so onerous, because you'd
Right.
be telling them they have to remove their house.
You have to take it down, right?
But a lot of times residents will come to us and say, listen, I want more of a yard, for my kids to have a swing set or something like that. That's very common, actually. And that's when we would say, sure, no problem, because, presently the town doesn't need that area.
And I also need to mention, piggybacking on top of what Keith's talking about, if you have ag, you can build right up to the property line, right over an easement, if that's an ag property. We have a few people that have done that, built CBS, concrete structures, right on the property line.
Ag structures.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did recently a chicken coop that
Yep.
someone wanted to build in that area, and we said, no problem.
Is that a cost to the resident to file this or a cost to the town to
No,
file it?
It's a standard form for us, so it's recording. It's like $850 for the first page, and it's de minimis.
It's minimal.
Yeah.
You mentioned a chicken coop. I see that as a lot different on an ag piece of property than a CBS structure. Will allow either?
So we don't allow CBS structures, permanent structures. We allow sheds that can be
Okay, all right.
moved off.
Because I thought I heard CBS as
No,
well.
we don't allow-
Okay, right up to the property line, but
Which one?
coop, that's easy to take down.
All right, let me open it up to the public.
Beforehand. I think it existed before the town.
No, it's brand new.
Really? You allowed? I don't know why we did that. I don't know. Gary, which one?
Good evening, Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue.
The lady, what's her name?
I'm going to
Hold on
reiterate,
just a second. Are we good?
I'd like to reiterate what was said at a previous meeting. There are two things that have to be done for a road right-of-way to be vacated or changed. One, the town can do. That does not change what Broward County has done. It will still be a road right-of-way, even though we have said it's no longer a road right-of-way, it's something else. You have to go to Broward County, and Keith said a monetary number, which he did like, 4 or 5 years ago, you did one, which is quite expensive.
It is.
And the individual that was back here just about had a heart attack when he found out what the number was to go to Broward County to get his road right-of-way removed by Broward County. We have done those before. In fact, just down Old Sterling Road on your block, the town has vacated the road right-of-way. It's still on Broward County. That cannot be removed unless the property owners go to Broward County and pay the piper and have it removed. If Broward County wants to build something there, a road, expand Old Sterling Road to become New Sterling Road part, they can do it in a heartbeat. If they want to run the road through, all the way through Rolling Oaks, Broward County can do that because it's there already. And can I continue for another minute? When we were looking at this back in the early 2000s, we saw over on the east side in Sunshine Ranches, roads coming off Griffin Road, where Broward County had showed the road go down and go into a cul-de-sac down there. Well, the people who built the road, they went down and they veered off, and the cul-de-sac's over here, but the road easement's over here. Well, our road easement is over here. County's road easement's over here. The people that own the property over here can't build there because that is county road easement. They happen to have a larger piece of property, so they just built off the side of it.
Right.
And that's what we have throughout the town. There is a grid that existed when this town was nothing but swamp. They put the grid in. So we've got to worry about both of those things. Thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you. Yes.
I just want to address one thing that Newell said, just to clarify, because Russell just asked me a question as well. It's not always Broward County. Every right-of-way has been granted differently throughout this entire town. Sometimes it's a platted right-of-way, Newell, and that's the worst of all the type of right-of-way, because then it's like an act of God to undo the right-of-way. You actually have to go through the platting process. Sometimes they just dedicate it to the town, sometimes they just dedicate it to the county. And in other cases, we have on Sterling Road, when Sterling Road used to be a state road, that they actually dedicated it to the state. So there are all sorts of right-of-ways throughout the town. It is not one size fits all. But what you all are suggesting to create an overall policy for the future is 100% necessary, not for automatically giving back right-of-way, But Rod is still in the position where if right-of-way is following a line, he's taking new right-of-way for the town. And what your policy would do would actually help out future residents who are coming to the town to determine whether or not they have to give additional property or not.
Right, right. Thank you, Keith. Yes.
Nervous, but thank you for your jobs. I mean, thank you for the loyal commitment you guys have for Southwest Ranches. I'm the owner of 4501 135th Avenue, right down the street. I own Superior Tree. Every right-of-way and they have to be distinguished differently because of, I have 136th Avenue. It was vacated 30 years ago, whatever it was, that was supposed to be planned. And they said that, I even had lawyers back in 5 years ago saying that they moved the 40 acres behind, that the entrance was going to go on the west side of the church.
Okay.
And that easement there, or road easement you were talking about, the road, I'm right now talking to the lawyer. My lawyer is talking to them now. And I want to make sure, I want to try to get that property back. And because I fall under, like a short acre. And I know you have to have a certain amount of acres to even build. But in that respect, you're never going to use that road. You're never going to use it.
Right.
And I want to maintain it. I keep my place beautifully. If you notice, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that I have the opportunity. I don't want to wait 18 more months because I've already been through this years. Years I've been through this. And I just want to make sure, please don't vote on this until every situation is going to be different. It's going to be different. And that's the only thing I have. It can't just put one, you can't. And like I said, DOT already surrendered it. And they said, long as you get your neighbors to join, we don't have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean by every situation is different. And I just, that's the reason why I'm here. And my lawyer, doesn't even know I'm here, but I just told her. But yeah, because, but I'm in the business. I'm a good neighbor, and I just want to, do the right thing. But like I said, I spent a bunch of money with my attorneys, and I just, please. All right.
Mayor, can I ask him a quick question?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you for your.
Wait 1 second. I want to ask you a couple of just random questions because I don't know this issue yet.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll know it tomorrow. Maybe they'll tell them to call me. Is your goal to fence in the area to make your property look better, but not to build on that area?
No, I don't want to build on it. No.
So
It's a nursery.
You would be the perfect candidate for what we're saying is an MIW.
Yeah, of course.
So is there a reason why you haven't applied for an MIW yet?
Well, my attorney's, she's working on it now, and she's working with DOT, and DOT approved it, and Broward County did approve it too. So she had to go that route before.
Okay, you're a way different route than the town right now.
right.
So when you come to the town, that would be a perfect candidate for.
It would be a perfect. I mean, that's the reason why I'm here, to make sure, because I knew this vote was coming,
Right.
and thanks to the gentleman Lemon Lime, because I'm friends with him. He says, "Yeah, that's on the agenda." I said, "Well, thank you for telling me that," and that's the reason why I'm friends with him. But I'm on the fence. Code enforcement, they have to do what they have to do. But
Different topic.
exactly. But no,
We
exactly. It's a
would
different
still
situation.
approve the MIW despite your friendship.
Hey, Rick is a fine
And I really
individual.
do it's a thankless ass job. I'm telling
Right.
you, it really
right,
is. And,
right.
I'm
Yeah.
not on commission.
Yeah. So, and let me just say, so nothing that we're doing here is going, you don't need to wait 18 months for us,
All right.
for any
Yeah, 'cause
reason,
I
okay?
I waited long enough.
No, this 18 months is a policy going forward. It's not individual. That's why I wanted to clarify that. Individuals can still move forward as
Right.
they want to move forward.
Oh, okay. All right. Because that's what my attorney, she's in Columbia now with her daughter. She said, it's another situation, but.
Good.
Yeah. But she's going to work on it when she gets back. And,
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank
Good.
you, gentlemen.
Thanks for coming up. Any other public comment on this item? All right. Public comment closed. Gary, any other comments?
No final comments other
You're
than
good?
motion to adjourn.
Well, all right, let's wait on that, just a second.
Mayor,
Rest
one
of
more
us?
thing before we adjourn.
Yeah, yeah.
I would like to ask our town administrator, Mr. Russell, if the Safety and Traffic Committee could reconvene in January for 4, 5, 6 months. It's not a board but it is a committee that, sunsets and sunrise and
If that's council's direction, we can certainly contact the previous committee members, unless you want to change anybody on that committee. But if you want us to contact the previous committee members and see if they'd be available for some time in January.
Don't we need to put that on the agenda for a vote?
For the Public Safety and Traffic Committee?
Mm-hmm.
We might have had it as a discussion item in the past. I don't think we had it as a vote before.
It's not on this one.
No, it's not it's not a standing
I
advisory
understand what the
board.
mayor's saying.
Oh.
It's a board. It's a board. It
That's
has
what-
sunshine rules. It has the whole, why are we doing the rest of them if we're not doing that one?
That one has never been a standing advisory board. It's always been a committee of limited existence that we've had for a
It's,
limited.
the term is different. That's the only difference, right? Is there any difference other than the term?
There's no difference.
So if these other ones were only 11 months out of the year, we wouldn't have to vote on them? I just, it does not seem right to me.
inconsistent.
Yeah, it seems inconsistent.
Mayor, you're correct.
If Keith is comfortable.
I
I'm
am not comfortable. I
Well,
want to
let's
make that clear.
bring it on the January meeting and you all can start in February. How does that sound?
all right. So we're going to make it a board, is that
I'm
what
a heck of
you're
a lot more comfortable with
No,
Is
that.
that what
no,
you-
it's still
Nothing's
called the
gonna
committee,
change.
but you're just going to
Just
approve a
gonna vote on it
resolution approving the committee for your limited amount of months that you want to approve it for.
All right. Gotcha. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Jim. All right, anything else before we, it's
Adjourn.
all yours, Gary.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Gary. All right, thank you all for coming out.
Happy holidays,
Appreciate it.
folks.